Hi, I'm Manny Fitzsimmons. I'm your Washington Realtors legal hotline lawyer. Welcome back to our video series entitled DB's Wish List. Some listing brokers do a great job of giving buyer brokers the tools they need to write an offer that can be accepted. But the buyer brokers completely ignore what the listing broker has uploaded to the MLS as attached documents. I'm talking about listing brokers attaching forms that seller has already completed and signed, such as the Exhibit A, legal description, Form 17, seller's disclosure statement, Form 22K, utilities addendum, Form 22J, lead-based paint addendum, FERPTA certificates, etc. But the buyer broker does autofill only and skips right over the documents that seller expects to see when buyer makes an offer. How is buyer broker helping the buyer by doing this? Buyer broker is not helping the buyer by skipping over seller's already signed or initialed forms. Oftentimes, listing brokers, and let me back up. Listing brokers, if you aren't doing this, you should consider doing this. All right. Oftentimes, listing brokers will not only upload all of those forms just described in this question, but they'll also upload a set of instructions or useful tips for a buyer broker to follow when writing the offer. For example, it might be really important to the seller to receive buyer's proof of funds for the down payment and the closing costs, along with buyer's offer, not as part of buyer's offer because that's not properly part of a purchase and sale agreement, the proof of buyer's funds, but it might be an important document for seller to be able to review at the same time that seller is reviewing the buyer's offer. So listing broker might upload as an attached document a set of instructions or useful tips to the buyer broker that would, for example, encourage the buyer broker to provide proof of buyer's funds. Or might say, the home was built prior to 1978. Please make sure that the attached 22J, the lead-based paint addendum, is part of buyer's offer. Might make other suggestions as well. Buyer brokers, if the listing broker and the seller have given you tips to help write a winning offer, and you ignore seller's request of you, and you find your buyer competing against, I don't know, many other buyers or even a few other buyers, your buyer's got competition, and you as the buyer broker ignored seller's very first request of you. Here are items that are important to me. Please use them, and you ignore them. Answer the question for yourself. How are you helping your buyer? Well, you might have been faster at drafting the offer. You might have been really quick getting it out because it was all autofill. But does it help your buyer's position if you get the offer there at 5 instead of 5:15 if you've ignored the seller and already irritated them right out of the gate? Probably not. I suppose there could be a case where that many minutes makes a difference, but in most cases, it's going to be a lot more important to try and satisfy the seller. So buyer brokers, pay attention to the documents that are already uploaded by by the listing broker. The listing broker is doing a really good job if the listing broker has done what this question described. If they've already got the seller's initials on a filled out 22J, if the FERPTA certificate's already uploaded, so you know the seller's citizenship status, mark the box properly on the Form 21. Don't just leave it blank, mark it. If the seller has given you a completed Form 17, sign it. Have the buyer sign it, make sure it goes back, not as part of your seller's or buyer's offer, but along with the buyer's offer. Use the tools that the listing broker has given you to facilitate your drafting of an offer that will be more appealing to the seller. Just listen to those words and then answer the question for yourself. If the seller and the listing broker have given you tools to make your buyer's offer more appealing to the seller, and you ignore those tools, have you helped your buyer? The answer is hopefully very obvious to you. No, you haven't. If you have questions on this topic or any other, send an email to me, legalhotline@warealtor.org. Thank you for being a Washington Realtors member.